celebrating,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. But yes, we can certainly get started.
Okay. If anyone on the call has gone through a sales process or has listened to us present in the past, you know that we like to make these fun. So I put a little contest together. It's participation driven. So for every answer, question, comment you make, right, be it in the chat or through conversation, you will get a ticket with your name on it entered into a drawing. So big money here, $10 scratch offs up to $500,000. So I figured for today's agenda, we'll kick off with introductions, go around the room, introduce ourselves, our roles, talk a little bit about the market trends. Hopefully you cannot hear my dog losing it upstairs right now. We'll share some of the insights that we're seeing in other organizations, how the market's responding. We have a really great case study that I thought was pretty insightful that we're going to share with you. And Brian will also wrap up with how can ADP help from a strategy standpoint? And then we'll pass it over to Amy to give a high-level overview of some of the technology that complements the strategy. So I figured right around 7:50, maybe 7:55, we'll wrap up with Q&A. And then along the way, feel free to interrupt us. Feel free to drop in the chat if you have any questions and try and enter some more tickets. All right, so I'll kick things off. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. My name is Della. I have been a district manager with ADP 10 years in October. So my role within the organization, I help mid-sized businesses increase operational efficiencies through streamlining back office infrastructures. That's a mouthful. But I love what I do. So I'll turn the call over to Brian to introduce himself and his role.
Yeah, Brian Nicholas, been with ADP for about 15 years now. I cover the Mid-Atlantic space, and I just love learning about organizations and see how we can help. So excited to be here tonight.
Thanks, Brian. I'll turn it over to Amy.
Hi, everyone. I am Amy Polito, and I'm a business consultant here at ADP. So what I get to do is I really get to kind of speak to you as our prospective clients to understand your business and processes. So that way we can make recommendations on how we can assist you. So it's nice to meet all of you.
Thanks, Amy. And over to you, Sam.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. My name's Sam Ball. I'm a sales executive. I cover a sales team, which Paul is on, in Eastern Pennsylvania. I just support my team to really kind of bring our solutions and expertise to clients in the middle market, and happy to be here as well. So thanks so much for having us.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. So the topic of today's call is attracting and retaining talent, right? So question number one, what would you say is your biggest challenge? Is it turnover? Is it finding talent? Or is it both? Both is an acceptable answer. Pop it in the chat. And then question number two, what's the percentage of employees working from home? There's a method to our madness. Yes, I know.
Sure.
I just saw Steph's
That's the point.
Chat.
I was technical issues.
No problem.
My chat was only to Brenda and not to everyone, so that's why I had to fix it so I get my points, Sam. I want my ticket.
Hey, Sam, Paul is a god-awful presenter.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. All right, can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Question number one was, what would you say your biggest challenge is? Is it turnover? Or is it finding talent? Or is it both? Question number two, what percentage of employees work from home? Right, medical practices, we have finance, we have HR generalists sometimes, administrative, you have billing, you have research and development. There's always going to be an element. Of course, doctors, physicians, right, nurses are going to have to. They've never really left the office, but there's always a certain portion, right? Finding talent is hard, okay.
Am I supposed to be doing it to everyone or just to certain people? Answering the question. Okay.
All right. So what's driving the return to work conversation, right? The pandemic certainly demonstrated that for many employees, remote work was a viable option, right? And it improved some aspects of life, albeit it certainly wasn't without stress. I have 2 kids that we homeschooled. My wife works from home, so I empathize. And at the same time, businesses we've been working with have been concerned about culture. They've been concerned about collaboration and communication in a remote environment. And the feedback from employees, we like the flexibility of working from home, right? So now business leaders are looking to return to a hybrid model. So finding that balance between employee expectations and employer needs, that's going to be the key to success, right? How do you keep your best people while making sure they're still productive? So employee safety has certainly been top of mind, very relevant in the wake of the new mandate last week. That's become a key aspect in the return to work, right? There's certainly concerns around social distancing, vaccines, and fears of, I don't know, getting sick, right? That's top of mind as new variants spread. So employers also need to balance that regulatory burden of vaccine policy, that vaccine policy, I guess, presents. With these changing workspaces, we're seeing new technologies being deployed to foster communication and collaboration while really driving productivity and employee engagement. So when I look at the conversations we're having on a daily basis, I would say our clients are focused on at least one of these 4 topics. And when we look deeper into these trends, we start to ask ourselves, right? Like, how are these trends impacting our clients? Talent's the recurring theme, right? So it's the people that are your most important, most valuable asset, and the fear of that turnover tsunami they keep talking about, and the talent shortage, which is real, that's certainly forcing new strategies and challenges on business leaders. So today, we're going to focus on turnover and talent. However, I think that last bucket, the legislative uncertainty, you all probably heard about the executive order. Was it last week, the week before? I think it was last week. They're implementing several new policies to reduce the impact of COVID-19 in the workplace. So employers with more than 100 employees, you will need to have employees provide, proof of vaccination or a weekly negative COVID test. So I was going to ask the group, question number 3, how many employees do you have in your organization? And I think that will help us allocate our time to areas that are more important to the group. So are we in the 50 employee range? Are we in the 100 employee range? Do we have hundreds of employees? Just trying to get an understanding of size and the different compliance brackets that impact different levels of organizations. So pop that in the chat when you get a chance.
Did anybody else's screen go dark?
No, I can see. Can anyone
see
else?
me?
Yeah.
I see dark.
And who was that?
I'm Steph.
Oh.
I have a black screen. I don't see anything.
Huh.
Mine looks fine.
We can see you.
Wow.
Well, I'm showing
Well, you
our new
can't.
technology.
Hey,
For the
Steph, if
return
you
to
want
work.
to come out and come back in, you can't do that unless you hand over the host. Because if you come out,
I
it'll
don't-
take off for
I
everybody.
don't know how I can do that with a black screen.
Oh, well, I guess just hang tight. If for whatever reason this thing disappears because Steph is in charge of the whole meeting from a
All right,
technology.
I'm just gonna
perspective.
listen then.
Well, if it all goes off, I'll come back on, is what I'm getting at. I'll bring it back up if it all goes off. But
I don't know why I just have a black screen.
okay, sorry for that
Sam.
interruption, folks.
Oh, I'm
Hopefully
back.
it'll work it out. Okay.
Oh, you're back. Okay.
I'm back.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Yay. So I just have a screen up of some of our latest technology. I mean, we've had this up for the past 6 months. Really great way to keep track of vaccination statuses. We have surveys to measure readiness to return to work and track, like I said, the vaccine status. You can create surveys. So you can get a temperature check real time on your workforce to determine, do they feel comfortable to return to work? They can take pictures of their vaccination cards and we can track expiration dates. So more on that as we transition to the demonstration portion of today's call. So what I'll do is I'll turn the call over to Brian so he can talk about some of the trends we're seeing in the marketplace, what we're seeing with other organizations when we talk about retaining top talent and attracting new talent faster.
Yep. Thanks, Paul. Yeah. So tonight's focus, right, was turnover and talent, which a term you're all probably hearing is the great resignation, or depending how you look at it, the chance for the great retention. So this really has escalated quickly. If you look back in October, 1 in 4 employees were considering quitting. Fast forward to June, 40% of those are thinking. And if you take a look at Gen Z, that rate's even higher, even almost 54%. By July, right, 90% of the workforce is thinking of quitting. And the top 2 reasons they've been giving are 61% say burnout, and the other part say 29% is based on their career development opportunities. So, these stats should really be no surprise to you. If you look at real estate, you look at home improvement, you look at auto dealers, heck, you even look at the divorce rate. People have been looking for a change, right? So, Paul, if you go to the next slide, from an employer perspective, what that means, 70% of employers are struggling to hire folks, right? You've said that, you all said that in the chat today. That's a 15-year high from what we've seen. In May, large organizations started to raise wages. So you probably read about that, right? The McDonald's of the world, the Amazons, the Bank of Americas. It's very easy to do if you're a large organization. What do you do if you're a smaller organization, right? And then July, fast forward, 9 million job openings to 9.5 million unemployed. So we have the people to hire. The problem is those people don't want these jobs anymore, and they also want to pick who they go to work for. So Paul, if you go to the next one, and the market's responding in interesting ways, right? You've probably seen some of these locally. Restaurant staff getting $1,000 bonuses. Never in the history of the world has that ever happened. Full-time benefits on day one. So there's lots of interesting ideas and perspectives that you're probably sharing with your coworkers and other industry leaders. I want to take a look at a case study. Paul, if you go to the next slide, Starbucks is a really interesting case study. So what they've done is they've reduced their turnover from 400% to 69%. So how did they do it, right? It wasn't just raise the wage. That's not the simple answer. So they took a look at their careers page and they completely revamped it from video interviews, video welcome message, employee referrals. They took a look at their benefit programs and they created new benefits and perks, including things as interesting as Spotify subscriptions for their employees. They standardized the work schedule. So most employees really care about that work-life balance. They standardized it so there were no unexpected shifts. They created an internal recognition and reward program. And lastly, they put in place financial wellness. So things around 401k, stock options, even college tuition reimbursement. So like I said earlier, just raising the wages won't do it, right? It takes a full-blown strategy. And Paul, if you go to the next one, that's easier said than done. This is what we see every day. We meet with HR practitioners every day, and HR is the hardest job in the world because even though we all would agree that strategic side of HR is what really makes businesses great, what really could have an impact on talent and turnover and retention and engagement, 80 to 90% of our time gets stuck on that tactical side of HR, right? It's the things that we have to do every day. It's the high risk, low reward. It's paying our employees. It's the invoice reconciliation. It's doing password resets for our employees. So what we try to do at ADP is we try to remove as much of the tactical off your plate, but then also provide a partnership on the strategy side. So Paul, if you go to the next one, we really do that in a 3-pronged approach. Most of you are probably very familiar with our technology, right? We pay 1 in 6 people. It's the other side of businesses where we're really starting to grow and have an impact with people and support. So assigning specialists to your account, people that have 15 years HR experience, people that have run recruiting shops, and then also providing outsourcing tools. So things as simple as, right, total leave administration, tax registration, right? Even processing your payroll. People are getting out of the payroll processing business because they just find it doesn't make their business any better. So that 3-pronged approach is where we think we really can make a lift. I'll share with you an example. Paul, if you go to the last slide here. This is ADP's Talent Center of Excellence. So many of our accounts, when we start to attach our people, our specialists, with that comes a Talent Center of Excellence. And it's everything from the strategy of how do we recruit? How do we engage? How do we track performance, tie it to rewards, and ultimately try and drive retention? So there's a couple of different ways that we do that, right? We provide tools so that you can benchmark yourself against the competition. As I stated earlier, we pay 1 in 6 people. How do you stack rank from a overtime cost, from a benefit spend, from a salary and wages? We can even get into providing predictive analytics. So we know the tenure of your employees. We know their current wage as it relates to others in their department. We even know their commute time to work. All of those are factors on who may be more of a likely turn. And then lastly, as it comes to career development, right? So putting in those type of trainings and succession planning against the whole gamut of the employee life cycle. So it really takes a lot of strategy. As this is not going away. Every meeting that we have, talent is really the topic of discussion, and we have multiple ways to help in that area. So Paul, I'll toss it back to you.
No, Brian, thank you so much. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I muted myself and I want to make sure it's still working. All right, fantastic. Yep. Brian, great job. I love that. You know, world-class organizations are best in class at recruiting, developing, engaging, and career pathing talent, right? These are all areas we can help with leveraging tools, leveraging insights and strategy, so that way you can become best in class. So Amy, from a recruiting standpoint, when businesses come to us and we do a very thorough analysis of their current processes and systems, and when we understand the organizational goals, it's pretty easy to show them what better could look like, right? Because our applicant tracking system is pretty top notch compared to most of the competitors out there with our integrated partnership with ZipRecruiter. And Steph, I think you had provided some feedback. You attended one of our webinars with the partnership of ZipRecruiter. Like, tell us a little bit about what did you like about that partnership? Where did you see the value?
Just gave some good tips and good ideas on how to recruit.
Fantastic. Yeah, Amy, why don't we do this? Would you mind sharing with the group what that looks like and the insights we're able to provide from an internal and external perspective that Brian was alluding to? I'll stop sharing my screen so that way you can take it back.
All right. And then just confirm for me, can everyone see my screen now?
Yes.
We can.
All right. So this is Workforce Now. So let me give you just a quick kind of overview here, and then we'll kind of just jump directly into our recruitment. But this is really your homepage. So just know for each of your employees, so actual employees, your managers, and just you as an administrator, you get to really design this page based on what you want your employee groups to see. So just know too, even at the top, this is where we have the ability to allow employees to have access to their own information. So just know really right here, this is where they can have some self-service. So being able to easily access pay stubs or maybe viewing some of your company policies. Just know your managers could have direct reports and view reporting. And then you as the administrators really have full access to your system, looking at all your staff, running any processes, and then also having full reporting and analytical data. So just really quick access to be able to see all of your updates. But a great thing that we can help provide is just different COVID resources available to you. So anytime there are those legislative changes, new reports you may need, you need special codings, you know, it's all available to you right there because it's challenging enough. So we try to make this as easy as possible. And then just know any notifications that come through the system, you have your own message center. So you can view it here. We have a mobile app, you can access it there as well. And then even get this through your email. So let's quickly just talk about recruiting here, and hold on one sec. All right. So what we provide is an ADP hosted career center. So what this means is right there on your website, we can provide this career center for any candidates that are looking to go onto your page. So this way we can really have this branded to you. So you can have different scrolling images that can go by so they can start to understand, you know, what you're all about. What does that culture look like? But you also have the ability to push out additional content and even have different videos right here. So really, again, you're really just promoting yourself out to those candidates so that they do want to work for you. They do want to apply. But just know too, we also make this really simple for them. So just in case if they're even on their phone going to your website, they can easily apply to your jobs right from here. So just know that is an available option to any of those candidates that come through. From here, this is where we'll be able to just quickly identify for you kind of where are all of your applicants and where are you getting your best applicants from. So just know here, it's really going to just quickly show you how many applications have you received and where are they within your process, so you can define, interview stage, offer letter, but we can also provide you that sourcing efficiency. So we actually work with a number of different job posting sites. So we do have that connection with ZipRecruiter. So it's just one way to be able to push your jobs out to a number of different job boards. So you're getting all of that good response from candidates, and then also accessing candidates through ZipRecruiter as well. So that way you're getting that attraction through them. But we do have free sites. So we also connect with Indeed, and then also your social media. So any Facebook, LinkedIn, or even Twitter. And then just know there are some paid site options. So if you're using like a Monster or a Career Builder, it's very easily just to connect your job postings directly from there as well. Any questions here so far, just on kind of looking at your career center, the branding, and then just being able to get your jobs out there to other candidates?
No.
All right. And then just know down below is where we'll be able to provide you really all of your candidate detail. So do keep in mind, this does have the ability to allow any of your hiring managers to be able to have some access here in recruiting. So that way you can decide, what features you'd like them to be able to do. So if you want them to be able to fully recruit, they can. But if you do want to restrict it, we have that option as well. But we can help make this really simple for you with our profile relevance. So this way, based on your job posting and what that candidate submitted, we can show you from low to high which candidate's really going to meet what you're looking for. So this way you can really focus on those higher candidates before you even need to jump to the lower ones as well. Just know here with that candidate profile, this is where you're going to be able to see all of that candidate information. So just know based on their profile, we can quickly identify, any education, employment history, maybe there are special skills or licenses you have to know about. They can be able to add those right here as well. Just know we can also assign what we call posting questions. So this way, if you do need to qualify any of those candidates, we can even set these to knockout. So that way, if they don't meet what you're looking for, they're not going to be at the very forefront when you go to review those resumes. But just know here, as part of your actions, you'll have the ability to communicate out to your candidates. So really kind of building that engagement from the start. But just know these templates are all customized to you. So when you are ready to send out that notification, you can send this out just through email or even by text message, as long as that candidate has authorized it as well. So just another way we can get their attention. And then just know too, you also have the ability to attach any type of files. So if you want them to know more about you, it's another great way to show that information as well. Just know here within our recruitment, we also have the ability to capture any type of employee referrals. So that's another good way to attract candidates. We also can provide background check screening services. So what's nice about this, it can all be tied here as part of that candidate record, so you can view those results. And then even to being able to push out any type of offer letters. So you can have your own templates. It kind of acts as mail merge. So anytime you need to update any specifics, you'll have the ability to do so. And then we can also tie in approval flows. So just in case anybody needs to review and approve it before you actually communicate it out to the candidate, we can even set that up for you as well. And then just know if you are eligible, we can also help you keep track of worker opportunity tax credits, or if you're familiar, more WOTC. So just in case as you're hiring specific candidates, they might be eligible for certain credits for you. So just another thing we can provide to help make sure, you're getting those appropriate credits that you should. But really from here, what's nice about this is you hit hire and it brings them directly into our system. So that when we can push out any type of onboarding, and they really can just be part of your system as well. any questions here on just kind of our recruitment process itself?
No?
All right. So my next thought, just to kind of continue with that kind of engagement from your candidate to now employee, is I just want to quickly just show you our onboarding, because that's just a really great way to be able to kind of build that retention with your new employee. So just know really easily from here, we can go ahead and hire this employee. You're going to be able to have your set templates just based on how you want to hire them directly. But just know from here, this is where you'll be able to really just capture all of their particular details. So everything that we've captured from recruitment is going to flow into this section. So we have the ability to assign checklists out. So if you do need to let a manager know this new hire is starting, we want to make sure they're ready for their orientation, we can set that up and then be able to also push out that onboarding experience. So just know this is what it can look like for that new hire. So they do have the ability to complete this through computer or even through our mobile app as well. But again, just building that engagement here, this employee can get a message from their manager, just welcoming them to the team, letting them know anything they need to be aware of. And then you have the ability to push out your own welcome videos. So again, this can be branded for you, building that engagement for that new hire. They can also start to see other colleagues they may be working with. They can update their personal details. And then of course, with paperwork, we can capture that for you all electronically. So just know I-9, E-Verify, tax withholding, company policies, it's all right here for you. And then even too, another nice feature we can provide is just a neighborhood view. So that way, based on that work location, they can see a quick map. So this way they know exactly where they're going to be that first day and even start to get to know that neighborhood as well.
Amy, I love when you show that onboarding, because those employees that are on that screen, I know all of them personally. They work in the Allentown office, and across the entire country, we use the same database. It's kind of funny to see them showcased like that. Steph, you had mentioned in the chat that it's hard to find talent. What are some of your strategies that you've been deploying, and where do you think the challenge is? Why is it so hard to find them?
I don't know. I guess it's just people don't want to work right now.
Can you give some examples of what you're doing right now in terms of strategy to, try and have as many fishing poles out of the boat as possible? Because it seems like that's the environment that we're in.
Well, right now I'm just using ZipRecruiter now for a position down in Philadelphia. And I mean, it's some days I just sit and laugh because, it's somebody I don't want to, who's definitely, not, I'm looking for a medical assistant and they're a bartender or they're a greeter at a convenience store or, a bouncer or, I just have to just sit back and just laugh. And I wonder, how, I don't know. I just shake my head and it's just like frustrating, but but so that's what I'm doing right now. But hope, getting there. We're slowly getting there.
Understood. Thank you. Just curious. All right, back to you, Amy.
All right, awesome. And then just one other thing I'd like to cover here is just our return to work feature. So just another way, just from that perspective, your new hires, your current employees, just being able to capture kind of all that compliance detail you'll need to have. So just know here for you as an administrator, this is that survey capability that Paul was speaking to earlier. So you will be able to send out these surveys to employees to confirm, have they gotten their vaccine? Are they ready to return to work? So this way you'll have complete visibility to see, okay, I've sent it to all these employees. I know that they're going to receive it. And then really from that employee's point of view, they're going to get those push notifications right there on their phone. So this way they can say, yes, I am fully vaccinated. No, I'm not. And we can capture that detail for you. And then also being able to just also capture, proof of vaccination and also proof of the negative COVID tests as well. So it's just an easy way. They can do it right there on their mobile app, take the picture, they're good to go. So even too, with those negative tests, they can easily just see it here and then just know on their main dashboard right there on their phone, it's going to let them know, here's all the results that we have for them. So they know exactly kind of where they stand within that area as well. And then just know too, any things they may need to do, like any of that continued kind of survey information updates, they're going to see that right there on their mobile app. And then even to just you as administrators, you have full access just to see how are employees feeling about everything. So this way, if you do need to see what's going on, do you need to have some conversations, right? It's all right there for you as well. Any questions or thoughts on this kind of return to work feature, or could this help you within your organization?
Just out of curiosity from the group, has anybody put together kind of a hybrid approach or looking for answers or solutions just on how you return to work in a safe environment, what protocol should look like? Is that a hot topic, or do most folks feel like they have kind of the answers there and a lot of the information readily available?
That sounds like a good one for Lisa to answer if she's willing to answer. I'm just not putting her on the spot now.
No, not at all. Well, in terms of what we do, we follow the CDC. So we use that as our resource. So when we returned everyone, we made sure we followed all of that to bring everyone safely and continue to keep everybody safe in the office.
Nice. And have you had to do anything kind of out of the ordinary, or I guess scheduling? Is that something that kind of runs into your business, or are you guys spaced out enough in your office where you don't have to worry about number of people in the building at the same time, things of that nature?
We have done that where we allow some people to work from home to reduce the number of people in the office. That's how we were doing it.
Yep. Yeah, and that's a very common solution, and certainly more kind of a flexible or a hybrid approach. ADP in particular did a phased approach back into the office where even the folks that were full-time in an office came back at first 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and then certainly kind of flexible leave time, PTO time, obviously leave based on family or childcare or COVID-related issues. So a lot of the things we're seeing, especially with the younger generations, kind of a flexible benefits package that doesn't necessarily have to do specifically with compensation or benefits is really playing. Flexible work schedules, being able to work from home, if your business allows for it and if it's viable, those are all things worth considering, and certainly kind of taking a look into what others are doing, because there's a lot of cool ideas out there, and people are using that in some cases to attract candidates a lot of times in younger generations, but the same. So just some things to kind of consider out there when you look at your return to work strategy.
Great add, Sam.
Sorry, Amy, back to you.
Sure. And then the last thing I just want to highlight for you is just really in regards to our analytics. And so not only just specifically in terms of just recruiting, so just being able to see, exactly where is your recruiting funnel, or just looking to see how long is it taking you to fill positions, but just know you'd also have access just to different modules that we have within our system. So this way you could have your own customized dashboards to see exactly what's happening within your organization. So just as an example here, I have my fiscal year strategy, right? But just know this is an easy, quick way for you to be able to track turnover rates. Let's look at retention rates, or any other type of items that you're really responsible for, or maybe you really want to be mindful of what's happening. So even to looking at new hire turnover, it's a quick way to be able to see exactly where you fall in line within this as well. Just know other great features that we can provide along with this is just diversity, equity, and inclusion. So just another way to be able to see what's happening within your organization. So looking just quickly at how diverse is that organization, but even too, looking at it from other perspectives in terms of from a leadership perspective, or maybe even are there certain areas that maybe not as diverse as others. So really just taking your data, giving it back to you, but giving it to you in a way that you can actually see what's happening. So if you do need to start making decisions, making changes, you'll have that ability to do so. And then one of the other things that we do provide is really within our benchmarking. So this is where we can take our clients' anonymous data and bring it back to you. So this way, really looking at your jobs and being able to determine what does that potential compensation look like. So because we pay, 1 in 6 Americans, we have all of this real payroll data that we can bring to you. So this is actually going to be provided to you within a monthly basis. And it's just a quick way to see, where are you falling within the market. So as you can see here, I have my specific jobs. I can compare it to a benchmark. So we can do job matching to make sure, we're really looking at comparable positions, but even seeing what's my average base salary compared to what's actually getting paid out there in the market. So an easy way you can start seeing, do you have any potential market gaps? So definitely with my IT group, I am actually paying them a lot lower than what is out there in the market. So I can easily see that market gap right there. So just really giving you that visibility to know exactly what's happening within your organization. Any questions or thoughts here?
No, looks good.
Would this be helpful? Having insight into what some of your competitors are paying from a compensation standpoint, seeing what some of their potential turnover is, the time to hire, and not only benchmarking internally but externally. Have you ever given that any thought, or does anyone on the phone do that already with a third party? Something to think about.
And then Paul, I'm going to stop sharing and give you back presenter rights.
Okay, fantastic. Let me get this back. Let's see if I can get back here. So that kind of rounds out what we had for today. I built in some extra time because I thought we might have had some additional questions or some feedback, but I wanted to bring this screen up because I think there's 2 other pillars that we could in the future put some content together, but really just looking for your feedback around what would be helpful, what would be a good use of your time for future consideration.
I do want to, Paul, before we go on, I do want to put in the chat box the link and the code for the members to get their CEU certificate. So before anybody drops off, I want to put that in the chat. So just give me 1 second to add that here before anybody just decides to drop off.
Absolutely.
And I would ask Paul's question a different way. So outside of talent, that's the big one we're hearing right now is the biggest item and area that companies are focused on. And certainly the struggle is real, right? I think BJ Steps, you mentioned that it's, we understand that all companies are dealing with it. Outside of talent, what are the other areas that you're uniquely or really heavily focused on at this point? Are there any other major topics where you're looking for guidance, support? Diversity, equity, inclusion is a big one. Pay equity is a big one in our world right now. Certainly legislative uncertainty and what you have to do to really comply with new legislation. Anything else that's top of mind for the group? Just gives us some good perspective. Got it. So
that's a good
employee,
point.
Yep, culture, sentiments, yep.
Could be an indication of burnout.
Yep. We appreciate the feedback, PJ. Great. Nope, this is helpful.
Any other questions from the group? Any insight that you're looking for? I mean, feel free to ask us any questions on other accounts that we've worked on, some of the different strategies we've been able to help deploy with other organizations. Happy to share some insight.
Those are new employees. Oh, no. That's not good, BJ.
Ooh.
Are they young? They must be.
I know that.
How'd I guess? For those that, who are on the phone and can't read the chat, BJ, she's we have a big problem with attitudes, thinking people owe them and using that as a crutch. Burnout, I would agree with if they were not new employees. And then she replied, I hope, I'm assuming I'm sorry if it is not, that these young employees are attached to mama still. So we're all laughing about. Anybody else
has like three lottery tickets at this point.
Oh, absolutely. She's crushing it right now.
Man.
I hope it's the $500,000 too.
Oh, let's see. I need to ask a question. Huh.
I can bring back this screen because we can sit on this screen for easily 30 to 45 minutes when we're in a business meeting, because they're cherry picking areas that they need the most help in.
I was just going to share that most of my staff they're all hospital based. So I'm familiar with your system, and I know how important it is to have a platform for employees off-site to be able to go to see all their HR products, such as their handbooks and policies. And we have about 40 employees, and we're about to mandate the vaccine. So I'm tracking all those things and keeping all their certifications of different educational things as well as health things all in one place. So I can see the importance of all these things to keep track of.
Mm-hmm. Are you using ADP today?
No, but I'm familiar with the product.
About to turn the training switch on and start showing you some of the latest feature functionality that you could utilize. No, that's great feedback. And I think the goal is, to Brian's point, is just to try and, outsource the non-revenue generating task as much as possible, so that you can really start allocating that time towards more strategic goals, right? Whether that's building the company brand externally on the internet or social media. We see a lot of businesses shooting testimonials of existing employees and how happy they are, and posting them to YouTube, posting them to LinkedIn. Sam, I'm mentioning Bennington Pools. They actually did that. But also internally, right? Putting together career path development, training, just investing in the employees. The younger generation, they are transient, right? They will job hop in a second. But once they feel that you're investing in their career and their success, they do become loyal. I will say that, but they need to see that there's a career path. They're not going to sit tight. So that's unfortunately the inconvenient truth of that generation. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of different things. There's a ton of different needs based on the industry. And if anyone has any future questions, feel free to reach out to us. We appreciate your time. Hopefully some of this was helpful. And if you don't have any other questions, we'll wrap up and give you 14 minutes back in your night.
Do you guys offer any kind of like compliance training or anything like that?
Sure. What kind of compliance training do you need?
Just anything like HIPAA or bloodborne or anything in that kind of range? We
can. Yeah. We have compliance on demand. Go ahead, Sam. I think you're about to jump in. I just saw that you were about to talk.
So there's I think there's two sides to training, right? There's and then compliance specifically. Companies are looking for technology, right, that really kind of facilitates that training through an LMS system, right? Others are looking for kind of live instructor-led, like sexual harassment's a common one there.
Right.
And then others still are looking when it comes to either HIPAA, in some cases safety. There's a whole bunch. So
Right.
depending on what you're looking for, and if it's kind of self-guided tutorials through a system that's electronic and tracked, we certainly offer those tools. If you're instructor-led trainings, we have those as well. So there's really kind of a different flavor depending on what you're looking for. We have some scalability there. So absolutely.
And we do tend to see in the smaller organizations, they do look to a partner for a risk and safety committee, which actually can come with some of our levels of service. So it's a really nice hands-off approach.
And I would just add to it, at all levels of ADP, regardless of the size of your company, there are resources where you can speak to HR consultants on different topics, issues that may come up. So that's always an option too, if you're just looking for a compliance-related answer.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Anyone on the call take advantage of the employee retention credits? Anyone familiar with that?
Brenda, you're muted.
The HHS.
Yeah, part of the CARES Act, the PPP loan. It was keeping track of your gross. If it was below 80% and you were impacted, that you could get up to $30,000 per employee. I was on the phone with my client, physical therapy company in Philadelphia. He ended up outsourcing the HR department to ADP. Funny story how that happened. He was just using us for technology. He calls me and he's like, Paul, I think I'm losing my HR person. I'm like, why do you say that? He's like, she hasn't been in the office in over a week. I was like, that's an indication. So he calls me the next day. He's like, yeah, I was right. She just gave me her letter of resignation. I was like, all right. So that's the first time. They had 50 employees. That's the first time they actually had HR, right? So now that they had it, they couldn't do without it. So we put them on a platform that was able to outsource some of the HR. But long story short, yesterday I'm talking with him and he's telling me that we helped them receive the tax credits. He didn't even know anything about it. And he said, to this date, they received over $250,000 in employee retention credits. And he said, when it's all said and done, they're going to get $400,000 for the employee retention credits. And he didn't even know anything about it. We brought it to his attention. So he was super happy about that. So there's always things out there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with some of our resources and see if we can help you guys out. All right, well, that's it for us. Thanks again for your time. Appreciate it. And we'll make sure, Steph, I'll follow up with you just to get everyone's name, just to make sure we didn't miss it. Then we'll do that drawing. We'll get those scratch off out to you guys.
Thank you
Did
so
everybody get
much.
a chance to write down the code and the link to get their certificate? Should I put it again? Put it again in case somebody still needs the code. Thank you, ADP gang.
Absolutely.
We're great.
No, thank you, Steph. Thank you, Karen, Brenda. Great participation. And Lisa,
BJ,
thank you so much.
yes, you're very
Thank you,
welcome,
everyone.
BJ. Thank you for attending.
All right. Bye,
Have a great
everyone. Have a
night.
good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Stay safe.